Imagine waking up every day with unstoppable energy, laser-sharp focus, and an unshakable belief that nothing can stop you. Imagine crushing every obstacle in your path, turning every challenge into a stepping stone, and taking control of your life like never before. The secret is not talent, luck, or opportunity. It's a mindset so powerful, so relentless, it drives you to act, to persist, to rise higher than you ever dreamed. Today, I'm going to show you how to unlock that mindset so you don't just succeed, you become obsessively, undeniably unstoppable. You want to understand what separates the obsessively successful from the rest? It starts with obsession, not a casual interest, not a passing desire, not a vague dream that flutters in and out of your mind when things feel convenient. I'm talking about a fire inside you that refuses to die, a relentless hunger that keeps you awake at night and pushes you forward when everyone else is taking a break. You see, the people who reach extraordinary heights don't merely want success. They are compelled by it. They can't imagine life any other way. And that, my friends, is where the journey begins. Think about it. The world is full of people who have talent, who have resources, who have ideas, but they never reach their full potential. Why? Because talent without obsession is like having a race car and leaving it parked in the garage. You can admire it all you want, but it will never win any races. Obsession is what fuels the engine. It's the difference between knowing what to do and actually doing it relentlessly until results are inevitable. Obsession is not something you turn on when it feels convenient. It's not the kind of thing you half commit to and hope it works out. No, obsession demands everything from you because the people who achieve the extraordinary understand that average effort will only yield average results. And here's the truth. The world doesn't reward average. It rewards the relentless, the ones who refuse to give up, the ones who make the pursuit of mastery their identity. You have to want it so badly that failure becomes unacceptable, that giving up feels like betraying yourself. That is the mindset of obsession. Now, let's get practical. Obsession manifests itself in how you live every day. It's not just a feeling, it's a series of actions, rituals, and choices that accumulate over time. When you're obsessed, you think about your goal constantly. You read, you learn, you practice, you tweak, and you evolve. You watch, listen, and analyze, not to compete with others, but to elevate yourself. You immerse yourself so deeply in your craft that you start to see solutions where others only see problems. That's the power of obsession. It transforms your perception. Obstacles that look like walls to the average person become stepping stones to someone obsessed. Obsession also rewires the way you deal with fear. You see, fear is the great equalizer. It will challenge everyone, no matter their talent, experience, or intelligence. But the obsessively successful don't run from fear. They leverage it. They allow it to sharpen their focus, intensify their effort, and fuel their determination. When you are obsessed, fear is no longer a barrier. It becomes a signal that you are pushing yourself into growth. Every time you feel fear, you are stepping closer to mastery. And here's the kicker, obsession changes how you handle time. Most people live passively, letting the hours slip by, waiting for motivation to strike, waiting for circumstances to align perfectly. But the obsessed? They treat time like the most precious commodity they've ever encountered because they know that every minute wasted is a step further from their goal. They schedule their lives around the pursuit of excellence. They don't wait for inspiration, they create it. They don't wait for perfect conditions, they make conditions perfect through relentless effort. Obsession also reshapes your standards. When you are obsessed, mediocrity is intolerable. You stop settling for good enough in anything you do. You hold yourself to a level that scares others because you understand that greatness is born in the relentless pursuit of excellence. Day in and day out, every choice, every action, every decision becomes a reflection of your commitment to your goal. And this commitment isn't temporary, it's permanent. It becomes part of who you are, woven into your identity so deeply that quitting is inconceivable. And let's not forget the ripple effect of obsession. When you're obsessed, your energy influences everyone around you. People can feel your intensity, they are drawn to it, sometimes challenged by it, but always inspired by it. Your obsession creates momentum, not just for yourself, but for the people who witness your dedication. Leaders, innovators, creators, and world changers understand this. Obsession doesn't just transform a single life. It has the power to shift entire communities, entire industries, and sometimes entire generations. Now, some of you might be thinking, but isn't obsession dangerous? Doesn't it burn you out? And I won't lie, it can, if it's unmanaged or misdirected. But obsession channeled properly is not destructive, it is transformative. It's the difference between being busy and being productive, between going through the motions and creating monumental results. The key is to obsess over the right things, the things that align with your values, with your mission, and with your vision for the kind of life you truly want. Obsession without purpose is chaos. Obsession with clarity is unstoppable. You also have to understand that obsession requires sacrifice. It requires you to prioritize what matters most and say no to what doesn't. It demands discipline, resilience, and the courage to endure long stretches of discomfort while others rest. But the payoff is not just success in the conventional sense. The payoff is mastery. The payoff is influence. The payoff is waking up every day knowing you are living with purpose, fully engaged in the pursuit of what you were put on this earth to achieve. So if you want to be obsessively successful, you must commit, not just intellectually, but emotionally and spiritually. You must fall in love with the process, with the grind, with the relentless pursuit of your goals. You must allow your obsession to become part of your identity so that every choice you make, every action you take, and every challenge you face becomes a stepping stone toward your ultimate vision. It's not easy, it's not glamorous, but it is the difference between a life that is ordinary and a life that is extraordinary. Obsession is not a hobby, it is not a phase. It is the secret mindset that separates the dreamers from the doers, the talkers from the achievers, the spectators from the champions. And when you embrace it fully, when you live it with relentless intensity, the world cannot help but take notice. You don't chase success, it chases you. You don't wait for opportunities, they manifest around you. And you don't settle for anything less than the extraordinary, because ordinary is no longer an option. Obsession is the entry price of mastery, and mastery is the doorway to a life of extraordinary fulfillment. Most people spend their lives running from discomfort. They avoid it, they numb it, they pretend it doesn't exist, but the truth is, discomfort is unavoidable. Pain is inevitable. Challenges will appear in ways you never anticipated. Life has a way of testing you, pushing you, shaking you down to see if you're really committed to what you claim to want. And here's the secret that the obsessively successful know. Pain, struggle, failure, setbacks, they are not the enemy. They are the fuel. They are the ignition switch for greatness. When you learn to see pain not as a wall, but as a ladder, everything changes. Suddenly, challenges stop feeling like obstacles and start feeling like proof that you are moving in the right direction. Every difficulty you encounter is a message, a signal, a lesson designed to push you to the next level. And the difference between those who achieve greatness and those who watch life happen to them is how they respond to that discomfort. Do you shrink from it? Do you make excuses? Or do you lean into it, use it, and let it shape you into something stronger, smarter, and more unstoppable? Think about the times in your life when things didn't go your way. Times when doors closed, plans fell apart, or the people around you doubted you. Most people see those moments as punishment, as proof that life is against them. But the obsessively successful, they see opportunity. They see a chance to grow. They see the edge where others quit, and they step forward. They take the raw, uncomfortable energy of struggle and convert it into drive, clarity, and action. Pain becomes not a setback, but a setup, a saint. Stepping stone to a future they can't yet see, but they are willing to fight for anyway. The key is perspective. It's not what happens to you that defines your life, it's what you do with it. Pain is inevitable. Loss is inevitable. Rejection is inevitable. Failure is inevitable. But the obsessively successful don't waste energy wishing life would be easier or fairer. They don't complain about the hand they were dealt. Instead, they focus on what they can control, their mindset, their effort, their response. Every setback becomes data. Every failure becomes feedback. Every challenge becomes a teacher. And when you adopt that mindset, there is no force on earth that can stop your momentum. Now, here's something most people don't realize. The people who reach the top aren't immune to pain. They don't glide through life without hardship. They feel it, they endure it, but they don't let it define them. In fact, they use it. Every wound, every rejection, every moment of self-doubt becomes energy. It becomes fuel to push harder, dig deeper, and move faster than anyone else. Pain doesn't weaken them, it strengthens them. It becomes a signal that they are alive, that they are growing, that they're stepping into the arena where greatness is earned. And here's where most people get it wrong. They try to avoid pain entirely, and in doing so, they avoid growth. They stay in their comfort zones, living small, playing safe, settling for mediocrity, all because they're afraid of discomfort. But the obsessively successful understand that growth lives on the other side of discomfort. If you want extraordinary results, you must be willing to endure extraordinary challenges. You must welcome struggle as a sign that you are doing something right. You must embrace pain as the bridge between who you are and who you have the potential to become. Pain also teaches resilience, and resilience is non-negotiable. if you want to be obsessively successful. You see, life will test your limits repeatedly. It will push, prod, and challenge you in ways that feel unfair, unjust, even cruel. And in those moments, most people break. They give up. They look for the easy way out. But the people who become unstoppable, they don't break. They bend, they adapt, they absorb the lessons of hardship and come back stronger, smarter, and more determined than ever. Pain isn't something to fear. It's something to master. Failure, too, is part of this equation. Most people see failure as the end. The obsessively successful see it as a beginning. Failure is feedback. Failure is an opportunity to refine, to adjust, to improve, to recalibrate your strategy. It's not proof that you're incapable. It's proof that you are trying, that you are pushing boundaries, that you are operating outside of mediocrity. Every failure contains the seed of a breakthrough if you are willing to extract it. And the more you embrace discomfort and failure, the faster you grow, the stronger you become, the closer you move to the life you're capable of achieving. Here's another thing. Pain sharpens focus. It forces you to pay attention, to prioritize, to cut away the things that don't matter. When life is easy, when everything is comfortable, distractions flourish. But when you are pushed to your limits, clarity emerges. You see what is truly important. You see what actions are necessary. You see the exact steps you need to take to move forward. Discomfort acts like a lens, bringing your mission into sharp focus, and the obsessively successful learn to leverage that focus, using it to accelerate their progress, to innovate, to dominate their field. Let's also talk about emotional growth. Pain forces you to confront yourself. It forces you to face your fears, your insecurities, your limitations. And in that sea, confrontation lies transformation. Most people run from these moments, distracting themselves, numbing themselves, refusing to deal with the truth of who they are. But the obsessively successful lean in. They stare down their weaknesses, they acknowledge their mistakes, and they commit to becoming the person capable of achieving their vision. Emotional strength, courage, and confidence are born in the crucible of struggle. Now, I want you to imagine your life if you could stop fearing pain. If you could stop avoiding discomfort and start using it. If every obstacle, every setback, every challenge became your secret weapon instead of your enemy, how different would your results be? How different would your mindset be? The obsessively successful don't have more luck, more talent, or fewer obstacles. They have mastered this truth. Discomfort is fuel, struggle is power, and failure is a teacher. When you embrace that, you step into a world where nothing can hold you back because every experience, no matter how difficult, propels you forward. Pain, when leveraged, becomes momentum. Discomfort, when embraced, becomes strength. Challenges, when approached with the right mindset, become your greatest allies. And the moment you shift your relationship with struggle, the moment you start seeing obstacles as opportunities and failure as feedback, you step into a different category of life entirely. You stop being a spectator and start being a creator. You stop waiting for permission and start claiming what is yours. You stop hoping for results and start generating them every single day without exception. So let every setback ignite your fire. Let every obstacle push you harder. Let every failure teach you something you didn't know yesterday. Pain is not the enemy. It is the instrument that forges champions, creators, innovators, and leaders. And when you learn to wield it, to use it, to transform it into unstoppable drive, you unlock a level of success most people can't even imagine. Discomfort is the hidden accelerator that turns ambition into reality. If there's one thing that separates the obsessively successful from everyone else, it's focus. Not casual focus, not the kind where you can check your phone and still think you're working hard, but ruthless, unrelenting focus. Focus that refuses to be distracted, that refuses to be diluted, that refuses to settle for anything less than what matters most. The truth is, focus is the invisible weapon of success. It's what allows ordinary people to achieve extraordinary results. It's what turns potential into reality. The world is full of noise. There's always something competing for your attention. Emails, social media, meetings, calls, obligations, responsibilities, and endless streams of information. Most people live their lives reacting to these distractions, letting them dictate how they spend their energy. But obsessively successful people, they control their environment, they control their energy, and they control their focus. They don't let the world tell them what matters. They tell the world what matters. And that's why they get more done in a day than most people do in a week. Ruthless focus is about clarity. It's about knowing exactly what you want, why you want it, and what it will take to achieve it. It's about drawing a line in the sand and saying everything else is secondary. It's about filtering out the noise and zeroing in on the actions that actually move the needle. Most people spend so much time on things that don't matter that by the time they get to what does, their energy is drained and their motivation is gone. The obsessively successful ruthlessly prioritize. They identify the vital few actions that will generate massive results, and they dedicate themselves to X. Executing those actions consistently every single day. But focus is not just about saying yes to the right things. It's also about saying no. It's about eliminating the distractions, the excuses, the habits, the people, and the activities that do not serve your ultimate vision. This is where most people fail. They say yes to everything because they don't want to upset anyone, they don't want to miss an opportunity, or they are too afraid of being left out. But the obsessively successful understand that every yes comes at the cost of a no somewhere else. Time, energy, and attention are finite. Every diversion is a distraction from mastery. To succeed at the highest level, you must develop the discipline to say no without guilt, to protect your focus like it's the most valuable asset you have, because it is. Focus also requires consistency. It's not enough to have bursts of intensity. You can be inspired for an hour or two, but that's not what creates momentum. Obsessively successful people build habits and systems that maintain their focus over weeks, months, and years. They don't rely on motivation or mood. They rely on structure, discipline, and clarity of purpose. They know what needs to be done, and they do it even when they don't feel like it, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one is watching. That's how results are created. Not through luck or talent, but through repeated, disciplined action focused on the vital few. Your environment matters more than most people realize. If you are constantly surrounded by distractions, people who drain your energy, technology that hijacks your attention, clutter that clouds your mind, your focus will be sabotaged. The obsessively successful curate their environment to support their mission. They remove triggers for distraction and create systems that enhance concentration. They surround themselves with people who challenge them, inspire them, and push them forward while minimizing exposure to negative influences. Focus becomes effortless when your environment reinforces it rather than fights it. Another critical component of focus is emotional regulation. Distractions are not always external. They are often internal. Doubt, fear, anxiety, boredom, frustration, these emotions can pull your attention away from what matters most. The obsessively successful learn to recognize these internal distractions and redirect their energy. They develop mental discipline, cultivating the ability to return their focus to the task at hand, regardless of the storms raging in their mind. They train themselves to act with intentionality rather than react impulsively, and in doing so, they maintain a clarity of purpose that most people never experience. Focus also amplifies the power of effort. It's not enough to work hard. You have to work smart, and you have to work on the right things. Many people expend massive energy on tasks that yield minimal results because they lack focus. The obsessively successful concentrate their energy on high leverage activities, the actions that will create exponential returns. When you combine relentless effort with clear focus, you create unstoppable momentum. Every hour, every day, every decision compounds toward your ultimate goal. And that is why focus is the secret weapon. It multiplies everything you do, turning ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Distractions are inevitable, but they are not uncontrollable. Every time a distraction appears, you have a choice to give your energy away or to reclaim it. The obsessively successful reclaim it. They develop rituals, routines, and boundaries that protect their attention. They schedule deep work sessions. They set aside sacred blocks of time for their most important projects, and they eliminate interruptions when possible. Focus is not passive. It is active, intentional, and non-negotiable. Without it, talent, intelligence, and ambition will never be fully realized. With it, even ordinary individuals can achieve the extraordinary. Focus also requires a vision that is bigger than the noise around you. When your goal is compelling enough, distractions fade into irrelevance. When your mission is clear, the world's chaos becomes background static. Obsessively successful people anchor their focus in a vision that ignites their emotions, that inspires them to rise above convenience, comfort, and distraction. The clarity of purpose is what allows them to persist through the days when everything else seems to demand their attention. They don't just know what they want, they feel it, they embody it, and they live it every single day. And let me tell you this, focus is contagious. When you are completely committed to your mission, people notice. Opportunities begin to align, conversations become more meaningful, and energy starts to follow intent. Focus attracts action, and action produces results. It's a cycle that compounds, and the more disciplined you become, the stronger the cycle grows. You create a force field around your goals that pushes away everything that doesn't serve you and pulls toward you everything that will accelerate your progress. The bottom line is this: if you want to be obsessively successful, you must master your focus. You must eliminate distractions, eliminate mediocrity, and eliminate anything that pulls you away from your highest priorities. You must protect your attention like a precious commodity, cultivate habits and systems that reinforce it, and anchor it in a vision so compelling that nothing can divert you. Focus is not optional. It is the foundation of extraordinary achievement. The moment you commit to ruthless focus, everything changes. Your energy becomes unstoppable. Your decisions become clearer, and your results become inevitable. Clarity and focus turn chaos into power. One of the most overlooked secrets of the obsessively successful is this: your results will never rise above the level of who you believe you are. You can study, you can train, you can accumulate resources, but if your identity doesn't match your ambition, your results will always be limited. Most people chase success as if it's a set of actions, a list of tasks, or a series of steps. They believe that if they just do the right things, the outcomes will come. But here's the truth: your actions follow your identity, not the other way around. If you want to achieve extraordinary results, you must first become the person capable of achieving them. Identity is more than just how you see yourself. It's the lens through which you interpret every experience, every challenge, every interaction. It's the story you tell yourself about what is possible and what is not. Most people unconsciously hold themselves back because they identify with limitation, fear, or mediocrity. They say, "I'm just not the type of person who can achieve that," or "people like me don't do things like that." And when you identify with limitation, your behaviors, decisions, and energy align perfectly with that belief. Your identity dictates your results. Whether you're conscious of it or not, obsessively successful people understand this on a profound level. They don't wait to feel ready. They don't wait to gain confidence or to acquire the perfect set of skills. They decide in that exact moment who they are going to become, and they begin living as that person immediately. They adopt an identity aligned with excellence, mastery, and relentless pursuit of their goals. Their beliefs about themselves shape their behaviors compound over time, and the results almost inevitably follow. This is why so many people struggle, even when they have access to all the right tools. You can have the education, the mentors, the resources, and the motivation, but if your internal identity doesn't match your vision, you will self-sabotage. You will procrastinate, rationalize, and make excuses. You will allow fear, doubt, and limiting beliefs to dictate your actions. The obsessively successful don't fall into this trap. They consciously rewrite their identity. They don't ask, "Can I do this?" They declare, "I am the type of person who does this, who achieves this, who rises to this level," and then they act accordingly. Identity also drives consistency. Habits are simply repeated behaviors, and behaviors are dictated by your beliefs about yourself. When you identify as someone who shows up, who takes action, who pushes past discomfort, your habits align effortlessly with that identity. You no longer have to fight yourself every day. The small, consistent actions that lead to extraordinary results no longer feel like a struggle. They feel like a natural extension of who you are. The obsessively successful don't rely on willpower to take massive action. They rely on an identity that makes action inevitable. But identity is not static, it evolves. The obsessively successful understand that becoming the person capable of their vision is an ongoing process. They are constantly expanding, growing, and refining themselves. They consciously challenge the parts of their identity that limit them. They ask themselves questions like, "Who do I need to become to achieve this?" And then they step into that version of themselves before the results appear. It is a process of transformation, of becoming, that precedes achievement. Another critical aspect of identity is how it shapes your perception of obstacles. Most people see setbacks and challenges as evidence that they are not capable. The obsessively successful see the exact opposite. They see challenges as confirmation that they are stepping into a bigger identity. When you are aligned with an identity of excellence, obstacles no longer define you. They are tests, checkpoints, and opportunities to prove to yourself that you are who you say you are. Every difficulty becomes a chance to strengthen your sense of self, to reinforce the belief that you are capable, resilient, and unstoppable. Identity also influences the people you attract and the opportunities that come your way. When you step into a higher version of yourself, you naturally draw people, resources, and situations that match that identity. Opportunities that once seemed out of reach suddenly become visible. Collaborations, mentorship, partnerships, they all begin to align with the person you're becoming. And this alignment reinforces your momentum because the world responds to the energy and clarity of your identity. You don't have to chase success. Success is drawn to the person you have chosen to be now. Changing your identity is not about pretending or faking. It's not about creating a mask to hide who you are. It's about intentionally choosing the qualities, beliefs, and standards that will allow you to reach your potential and then embodying them consistently until they become a natural part of you. It's about becoming the person who thrives under pressure, who takes massive action when others hesitate, who sees obstacles as fuel, and who refuses to settle for anything less than extraordinary. Every decision you make, every action you take becomes a reinforcement of that identity. And here's the beautiful part. Once your identity shifts, everything else becomes easier. Your mindset shifts, your habits shift, your focus sharpens, your energy aligns. You stop forcing yourself to act against your nature. Instead, everything you do becomes a reflection of who you are at your core, the person capable of achieving your vision. This is why obsessively successful people often seem unstoppable. They are not simply executing strategies. They are living as the person they were meant to become, and the world naturally responds to that alignment. Identity also fuels resilience. When your results fluctuate, when failure appears, or when the world tests you, your identity becomes the anchor that keeps you moving forward. You don't rely on temporary motivation or external validation. You act because of who you are. You persist because giving up would be inconsistent with your sense of self. Your identity becomes the ultimate source of inner strength, the foundation on which extraordinary achievement is built. And the sooner you realize this truth, the sooner your results will accelerate. Stop trying to become successful first and then change who you are. Stop thinking that doing something will magically make you someone capable of extraordinary results. Reverse the order. Decide who you are going to become. Commit to that identity fully and let your actions follow. The skills, the discipline, the focus, the habits, they will all emerge naturally because they are an extension of the person you're becoming. The obsessively successful understand this principle deeply. Identity precedes results. If you want to achieve the extraordinary, you must first become the extraordinary person capable of achieving it. You cannot cheat the system. You cannot skip the step. You must embody the beliefs, values, and behaviors of the person you aspire to be, and then you must consistently live as that person until success is inevitable. When your identity aligns with your vision, you no longer struggle to take action. You no longer waste energy on doubt or hesitation. You no longer wait for permission from the world. You step forward every day as the person you have chosen to be, and everything else, the results, the opportunities, the momentum naturally flows from that alignment. Become the person who achieves what others only dream of. Success is not built in giant leaps. It is not something that happens overnight, and it is certainly not the result of random inspiration or sudden luck. It is built in the quiet, almost invisible moments, the tiny, consistent actions that most people overlook or dismiss as insignificant. The obsessively successful understand this better than anyone. They know that massive momentum is the result of repeated, small, deliberate steps taken over time. It's not flashy. It's not glamorous, but it is unstoppable. Think about it. Every extraordinary achievement you admire, every empire built, every master in their field, they all started somewhere small. Every champion, every innovator, every leader began with tiny habits that over time compounded into something monumental. And the difference between those who reach greatness and those who fade into mediocrity is the ability to harness the power of small, consistent action. Most people wait for inspiration, for motivation, for some monumental moment to push them forward. The obsessively successful don't wait. They act every day in small ways that add up relentlessly until the results are undeniable. Tiny habits are deceptively powerful. One small decision repeated consistently can shape the trajectory of your entire life. It's not about intensity in a single moment. It's about persistence. Across all moments, the obsessively successful understand that motivation is fleeting, but systems and habits are permanent. They build their lives around structures that make progress inevitable. They don't rely on willpower or emotional highs. They rely on routines, rituals, and disciplines that reinforce the behaviors of success. Over time, these small habits compound like interest in a bank account, generating returns that feel exponential compared to the effort put in. Consistency is the secret multiplier. Doing something once or twice isn't enough. Showing up occasionally is not enough. Results require sustained effort over months and years, and that effort is fueled by habits, not motivation. Most people underestimate the power of incremental progress. They look for dramatic results and get frustrated when they don't appear immediately. The obsessively successful, however, see every small action as a brick in the foundation of something much larger. They know that each choice, each repetition, each disciplined moment adds to a force that cannot be stopped. Momentum is the secret weapon of mastery, and it grows in the space between ordinary actions repeated over time. And here's the beauty of tiny habits. They don't require massive willpower. They don't require extraordinary talent. They don't require perfect conditions. They simply require a commitment to act consistently, to align your daily behavior with your long-term vision. The obsessively successful design their lives to make these small actions automatic. They set up their environment, their schedule, and their mindset in ways that support consistency. They remove friction, minimize distractions, and make it easy to do the things that matter most. What feels small in the moment becomes enormous in the long run. Small actions also build confidence. Each time you take a step forward, no matter how small. Why? You prove to yourself that you are capable. You accumulate evidence that you can execute, that you can endure, that you can make progress even when the outcome is uncertain. This confidence compounds just like the actions themselves. It fuels further action, creating a cycle of momentum that propels you forward. Most people underestimate the power of confidence built through repeated execution. They wait for external validation or some monumental proof. The obsessively successful know that action itself is the proof, and that small wins compound into unshakable belief in your own capabilities. Tiny habits also allow you to navigate fear and resistance. Big goals can be intimidating. Massive visions can feel paralyzing. Most people procrastinate because the task seems too large, too complex, too overwhelming. But small actions create accessibility. They make the impossible tangible. One small step leads to another, and soon what once felt impossible begins to feel inevitable. The obsessively successful break massive goals into manageable increments, then tackle them relentlessly. They know that progress, no matter how small, is the antidote to fear. Every tiny step builds momentum, and momentum kills resistance. Another key aspect of small, consistent actions is adaptability. Life is unpredictable. Challenges will arise, obstacles will appear, plans will need to be adjusted. The obsessively successful don't wait for perfect conditions or for life to align perfectly with their vision. They move forward in small, deliberate ways, adjusting as they go. This flexibility combined with persistence creates a dynamic power that allows them to navigate uncertainty while maintaining forward motion. Small habits provide stability and direction even in chaos, and that is the hidden strength behind their unstoppable progress. Tiny habits also compound socially and emotionally. Every action you take reinforces your identity and signals to the world who you are becoming. When you show up consistently, when you deliver, when you honor your commitments, even in small ways, you build credibility, trust, and influence. These small, seemingly insignificant behaviors shape your relationships, your reputation, and your network over time. The obsessively successful understand that extraordinary results are not just about individual effort. They are about how that effort ripples outward, creating opportunities, partnerships, and momentum that extend beyond the individual. The power of small, consistent actions also lies in their cumulative effect on skill and mastery. Excellence is rarely achieved in a single breakthrough moment. It is built through repetition, through practice, through incremental improvement. The obsessively successful dedicate themselves to daily improvement, to compounding growth. They embrace the process, knowing that each small refinement, each minor correction, each repeated effort brings them closer to mastery. Skill compounds, knowledge compounds, confidence compounds. And with each compounding cycle, the gap between the obsessively successful and everyone else widens. What most people fail to understand is that the tiniest actions are never really tiny when viewed over time. A single phone call, a single practice session, a single decision may seem insignificant today, but repeated consistently, it becomes transformative. The obsessively successful understand this principle intuitively. They don't chase massive, sporadic bursts of activity. They chase relentless, disciplined consistency, knowing that the cumulative effect of their actions will eventually overwhelm resistance, surpass obstacles, and produce results that seem impossible to those who are not willing to commit to the small daily effort. And here's the truth. It is the invisible work, the unseen daily effort, that separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. Most people are seduced by dramatic moments, by overnight success stories, by headlines of instant breakthroughs. But those stories never tell the truth. Success is the sum of tiny, consistent actions repeated day after day, month after month, year after year. The obsessively successful embrace the grind. They love the process. They honor the small victories. They understand that mastery is not a single event. It is the accumulation of deliberate action over time. So if you want to achieve the kind of obsessive, unstoppable success that transforms your life, start small, but start consistently. Build habits that align with your vision. Commit to actions that may feel minor today, but are monumental in the long term. Protect your routines. Focus your energy. Take steps every day, no matter how small, toward the person you are becoming and the results you are destined to achieve. The compounding power of consistent action will create momentum that cannot be stopped. Momentum is created in the quiet, relentless repetition of small, purposeful steps, not obstacles. Everyone encounters them. Everyone talks about them. Everyone complains about them. But here's the truth that separates the obsessively successful from the rest. Obstacles are not walls. They are steps. They are evidence that you are moving in the right direction. They are not signs that you should quit. They are signs that you are pushing beyond your comfort zone, that you are stepping into growth, that you are on the path to something greater than you have experienced before. Most people see challenges and they shrink. The obsessively successful see the exact same challenge and they step forward with more intensity. When you encounter a giant, a barrier, a problem that seems insurmountable, the instinct for most people is to hesitate, to overanalyze, to avoid. That hesitation kills momentum. It keeps dreams small, but the obsessively successful have trained themselves to shift perspective. They see every obstacle not as a stop sign, but as a signal that they are on the right path, a signal that the world is about to test them in order to strengthen them, a signal that the next level of growth is waiting on the other side. Obstacles are not punishment. They are opportunity, disguised in difficulty, disguised in challenge, disguised in resistance. The first thing obsessively successful people do when confronted with a challenge is to reframe it. They ask themselves, what can I learn from this? How can I grow stronger? How can I use this to my advantage? Instead of seeing the problem as a threat, they see it as a teacher. They extract insight, strategy, and clarity from the very things that others allow to defeat them. Every challenge is information, every setback is feedback, and every failure is a blueprint for improvement. When you adopt this mindset, obstacles no longer paralyze you, they empower you. Most people underestimate the power of perspective. The same obstacle can destroy one person and propel another to new heights. What makes the difference? The ability to see challenges as temporary, actionable, and conquerable. The obsessively successful do not give their power away to circumstances. They do not surrender to fear. They take control of how they perceive the situation, and they respond intentionally. They understand that giants are not walls, they are ladders. They climb. They move strategically. They break the challenge into parts, step by step, until the seemingly impossible becomes achievable. Obstacles also test your commitment. Anyone can succeed when things are easy, when resources are abundant, when circumstances align perfectly. But the successful thrive when the path is difficult. They know that every obstacle is an opportunity to prove to themselves that they are capable, resilient, and unstoppable. And here's the reality. Greatness is not achieved by avoiding obstacles. It is achieved by mastering them. The more you face, the more you grow, the more you endure, the stronger you become. Challenges do not define you, they refine you. There is also a timing element in the way obsessively successful people handle obstacles. They understand that setbacks are temporary, and they do not let momentary difficulty define their trajectory. When life throws them a curveball, they adjust, pivot, and take immediate action. They don't complain. They don't procrastinate. They don't wait for things to become easier. They step forward. They solve. They adapt. They persevere. Every giant that appears on their path is a test of their resourcefulness, patience, and resolve, and they rise to the occasion every time. Another critical aspect of this mindset is creativity. When you stop seeing obstacles as insurmountable and start seeing them as challenges to be overcome, your brain begins to operate differently. You begin to search for solutions that you would never have considered if you're paralyzed by fear. The obsessively successful understand that every obstacle is also an invitation to innovate, to think differently, to push the boundaries of possibility. What seems like a roadblock to someone else is often a secret shortcut for the person with the right mindset. The bigger the challenge, the greater the opportunity for ingenuity, strategy, and breakthrough. Obstacles also teach patience and endurance. Many people give up too early because they are conditioned to expect instant results. But the obsessively successful know that mastery, achievement, and extraordinary success are rarely immediate. Challenges STR etch them. They test their patience. They require them to sustain effort over long periods of time. And it is through this sustained effort that the true difference between those who succeed and those who don't becomes visible. The people who endure, adapt, and persist are the ones who climb higher, reach further, and achieve what others only dream of. Every obstacle also reveals character. When the pressure is on, when the stakes are high, when circumstances are difficult, who do you become? The obsessively successful use challenges to test themselves, to define themselves, to push the limits of their courage, discipline, and resilience. They learn to embrace adversity as an essential part of the journey, not as an inconvenience. Every problem faced and solved strengthens their confidence, sharpens their focus, and builds the mental toughness required to achieve extraordinary success. It's also important to understand that obstacles are not always external. Many challenges are internal: self-doubt, fear, limiting beliefs, indecision. These are giants that can be even more dangerous than external problems because they are invisible. The obsessively successful confront these internal obstacles with the same determination they confront external ones. They develop mental discipline, self-awareness, and emotional resilience. They refuse to let internal resistance dictate their actions or define their potential. And by mastering their inner world, they are equipped to navigate any external challenge with clarity, strategy, and power. Obstacles also sharpen focus. When the path becomes difficult, clarity emerges. Every decision, every choice, every action becomes more precise because the stakes are higher. The obsessively successful use obstacles as a lens to filter what matters most. Distractions fade. Priorities crystallize. Energy is directed toward the most impactful actions. Challenges force you to think, to adapt, and to act with intention. And in that focused action, progress is not only possible, it is inevitable. Here's another truth. Obstacles create credibility. People respect those who endure, who persist, who rise above challenges rather than succumb to them. The obsessively successful understand that every difficulty overcome enhances their reputation, expands their influence, and attracts new opportunities. Struggle builds authority, resilience inspires trust, and those who can demonstrate the ability to face giants and continue forward naturally become leaders, innovators, and visionaries. The bigger the obstacles you overcome, the more unstoppable you become in the eyes of yourself and the world. The key is to shift your mindset from avoidance to embrace. Stop seeing obstacles as threats and start seeing them as essential tools of growth. Each challenge is a test, a lesson, and an opportunity. Each barrier is a signal that you are pushing beyond your comfort zone and stepping into a higher level of achievement. Giants are not meant to stop you. They are meant to elevate you, to stretch you, and to show you the strength, creativity, and courage you already possess. When you adopt this mindset, life itself becomes a ladder, not a wall. You start to see challenges everywhere, and instead of fearing them, you welcome them. You approach every difficulty with curiosity, strategy, and determination. You rise above frustration and fatigue because you understand that every obstacle is temporary, every challenge is an opportunity, and every setback is a step forward in disguise. Obstacles are the proving ground where ordinary people are separated from the extraordinary. Your environment is more powerful than most people realize. The world around you, the people you spend time with, the places you inhabit, the habits you practice, and even the media you consume shapes your thoughts, your emotions, and ultimately your results. Most people underestimate this influence. They think success is purely about talent, effort, or luck. But the obsessively successful know that environment is the hidden accelerator. It either builds you or it breaks you. And if you want to achieve extraordinary results, you must learn to engineer it intentionally. Think about it. Every decision, every action, every thought is influenced by the cues in your surroundings. If your environment is cluttered, distracting, or chaotic, your focus suffers. If you surround yourself with people who doubt you, drain you, or normalize mediocrity, your energy diminishes. If your habits are unconsciously shaped by convenience rather than purpose, you will drift. The obsessively successful understand that success doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens in the context of a carefully designed ecosystem where every element supports growth, momentum, and excellence. The first step in engineering your environment is to eliminate what doesn't serve you. Most people are overwhelmed by noise because they allow distractions, unnecessary obligations, and toxic influences to persist. The obsessively successful ruthlessly remove these obstacles from their physical and mental space. They declutter, they set boundaries, and they protect their energy like it's sacred. They know that every unnecessary input, email, social media, negative people, dilutes focus and weakens action. By controlling what enters their environment, they create a fertile ground for the behaviors, decisions, and habits that drive success. Your surroundings also include the people you spend time with. This is one of the most overlooked factors in personal achievement. Most people underestimate the subtle influence of social energy, the beliefs, behaviors, and attitudes of those closest to you. If you spend time with people who complain, excuse, or play small, it will affect you, whether consciously or unconsciously. The obsessively successful carefully choose their associations. They surround themselves with people who inspire them, challenge them, and hold them accountable. They seek mentors, peers, and collaborators who raise the bar, broaden perspective, and accelerate growth. They understand that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and they curate those 5 people intentionally. Habits are another critical component of environment. The obsessively successful don't leave habits to chance. They design routines that make success automatic. Morning rituals, planning sessions, exercise, focused work blocks, and reflection are all structured to reinforce their vision and goals. By embedding these behaviors into the environment, they reduce friction, conserve willpower, and maintain consistent progress. Habits are the bridge between intention and action, and when they are aligned with your environment, they generate results effortlessly over time. Physical space is also more influential than people realize. Clutter, disorganization, or chaos in your surroundings creates mental noise, stress, and distraction. The obsessively successful take control of their physical environment. They create spaces that inspire focus, creativity, and action. Clean desks, organized tools, and intentional workspaces send signals to the brain that the space is meant for productivity, discipline, and results. The environment is not just external, it communicates with your mind and body priming you for the level of performance required to achieve your vision. Energy management is part of this engineering. The obsessively successful understand that energy is the currency of action. They design their environment to support high energy levels. They prioritize sleep, nutrition, movement, and mental recovery. They avoid toxic relationships, draining obligations, and constant exposure to negativity. They seek inspiration, challenge, and growth. Their environment is structured not only to facilitate productivity, but also to sustain vitality over the long haul. When energy flows freely, focus sharpens, resilience strengthens, and momentum becomes unstoppable. Information is another element of environment. Most people consume content passively, allowing endless streams of news, entertainment, and distraction to fill their minds. The obsessively successful are intentional about what they consume. They study what matters. They read what elevates. They listen to what inspires. They feed their minds with knowledge that aligns with their goals, perspectives that challenge them, and ideas that expand their capacity. Information in their environment is a tool, not a diversion, and it fuels action rather than drains it. Technology, too, is part of the environment. Most people are slaves to notifications, algorithms, and constant digital distraction. The obsessively successful understand that technology should serve them, not control them. They set boundaries, automate processes, and use tools strategically to amplify their productivity. Their environment, even in the digital sense, is aligned with their mission. They do not allow convenience or distraction to dictate their behavior. Instead, they design every aspect of their life to reinforce focus, action, and results. Mental environment is equally important. The obsessively successful cultivate a mindset of possibility, abundance, and resilience. They surround themselves with affirmations, thoughts, and internal dialogues that reinforce strength, capability, and growth. They minimize self-doubt, fear, and negativity. They structure their inner world in the same way they structure their external world, intentionally, purposefully, and with the goal of supporting relentless progress. Your inner environment shapes every choice, every action, and every decision, and obsessively successful people guard it fiercely. Time, too, is part of the environment. Most people treat it as a passive resource, letting it slip away with distractions, idle scrolling, and meaningless obligations. The obsessively successful structure their time as carefully as their physical and social environment. They prioritize high-leverage actions, schedule focus blocks, and design days that align with their mission. Time becomes an ally, not an enemy, because it is integrated into an environment engineered for achievement. Every minute, every hour, every day is optimized to compound momentum toward extraordinary results. And the most powerful, aspect of environment is that it becomes a self-reinforcing system. When you design your life intentionally, every element of your environment amplifies the other. The people, the habits, the spaces, the energy, the information, the technology, and the time all align toward your highest priorities. The world stops being a source of friction and becomes a source of leverage. You no longer rely on motivation, willpower, or chance. You rely on a system that produces results almost automatically because it has been engineered to make success inevitable. Obsession, focus, identity, and action are all amplified by environment. The obsessively successful don't leave their success to hope or luck. They design every aspect of their world to make excellence, mastery, and relentless PR. Ogress the default. They protect their energy, sharpen their focus, and create conditions in which momentum thrives. And here's the truth. If you want to achieve extraordinary results, you must do the same. Your environment is not a backdrop. It is the engine that drives your performance, your mindset, and your success. Control your environment and you control your outcomes. Discipline. It's a word that many people avoid, but it's the backbone of every extraordinary achievement. Talent can get you started, inspiration can give you a spark, an opportunity can open doors, but none of those factors will sustain you. Discipline is what carries you through when motivation fades, when the challenges pile up, when the world seems to be pushing against you. Obsessively successful people understand that discipline is not a punishment, it is the vehicle through which dreams are transformed into reality. Without it, even the most brilliant vision remains just that, a vision. Discipline is consistency in action. It's showing up every single day, even when you don't feel like it. It's making the choices that align with your goals rather than your impulses. Most people think discipline is about denying themselves pleasure or forcing themselves to do things they hate, but that's a misconception. True discipline is about mastery over your own actions and priorities. It's about taking control of your life so that you can achieve the results you desire. It's not about restriction. It's about empowerment. The obsessively successful build systems of discipline into every area of their lives. They don't rely on fleeting willpower or waiting for a burst of motivation. They design routines, structures, and habits that make action inevitable. They wake up at the same time, dedicate time to focused work, prioritize high-leverage activities, and protect their energy relentlessly. They understand that results are the product of repeated, intentional actions over time. Discipline is the bridge between vision and execution, and without it, even the most brilliant plans remain unfulfilled. Discipline also requires accountability. Most people fail not because they lack knowledge or skill, but because they fail to hold themselves accountable for following through. Obsessively successful people establish accountability systems that keep them on track. They set clear standards, measure their progress, and confront themselves with honesty. When they falter, they don't make excuses. They adjust, recommit, and move forward with even greater determination. Accountability transforms discipline from a concept into action, from intention into results. Another critical aspect of discipline is delayed gratification. The world today is built on instant rewards, instant feedback, and constant stimulation. Most people chase immediate pleasure, but the obsessively successful understand that true achievement requires sacrificing short-term comfort for long-term gain. They make choices that may feel difficult in the moment because they understand the compounding power of their efforts. Discipline is what allows them to say no to distractions, no to indulgence, and yes to the actions that produce extraordinary results. It is the silent force that enables them to outperform others consistently. Discipline also shapes resilience. Life will throw obstacles, setbacks, and failures your way. Most people crumble when things get difficult, but disciplined individuals persevere. Their consistency becomes a shield against chaos. They continue moving forward even when the outcome is uncertain, even when the path is steep, because their discipline has created momentum that cannot be easily stopped. Each disciplined action reinforces their strength, sharpens their focus, and builds the internal fortitude needed to navigate adversity. Importantly, discipline is not a solitary pursuit. It interacts with every other principle of success: focus, identity, environment, momentum, and persistence. Discipline allows focus to translate into results because it keeps you aligned with your priorities. Discipline strengthens identity because the actions you take daily shape who you are becoming. Discipline amplifies environment because it ensures that every element of your surroundings is leveraged effectively. Discipline compounds momentum because consistent effort produces unstoppable forward motion. Every other key to success is magnified when combined with unwavering discipline. Discipline is also about emotional regulation. Most people allow their moods to dictate their actions. They wait until they feel like it, and then they act. or don't act at all. The obsessively successful have learned to separate action from emotion. They understand that the decisions they make in moments of clarity determine their trajectory, not the fleeting feelings of the day. Discipline is the ability to act in alignment with your long-term vision, even when emotions scream otherwise. It's the ability to maintain integrity with your own commitments, regardless of temporary discomfort. There is a misconception that discipline is rigid or joyless. In reality, it creates freedom. By committing to disciplined routines, habits, and standards, you free yourself from the chaos of indecision, distraction, and inconsistency. You eliminate the energy drain of resisting temptation or scrambling to catch up. Discipline structures your life so that focus, clarity, and action become effortless. It allows you to operate at a level of intensity and efficiency that most people cannot sustain. And that is why it is the hidden accelerator of obsession-level success. Another element of discipline is foresight. Obsessively successful people anticipate challenges and plan for them in advance. They create contingency plans, build buffers, and prepare their systems so that when resistance arises, they can continue forward without losing momentum. Discipline is proactive, not reactive. It is about controlling what you can control so that you are prepared for what you cannot. This foresight ensures that obstacles are temporary setbacks, not derailments. It ensures that progress continues even in the face of adversity. Discipline also cultivates confidence. When you follow through on your commitments consistently, you reinforce a powerful sense of self-efficacy. You prove to yourself that you can be relied upon, that you can endure, and that you can achieve. Confidence, in turn, fuels action, creating a virtuous cycle. Where disciplined behavior generates results, results reinforce belief, and belief strengthens discipline even further. The obsessively successful know that success is as much about proving it to yourself as it is about demonstrating it to the world. Finally, discipline ensures that your vision becomes reality. Inspiration fades, motivation fluctuates, external circumstances are unpredictable, but disciplined action is unwavering. When you combine clear vision, obsessive focus, relentless momentum, and unwavering discipline, you create an unstoppable force. You align your energy, your behavior, and your environment with your goals in a way that guarantees forward progress. Discipline transforms intention into impact, potential into achievement, and dreams into tangible results. No amount of talent, inspiration, or opportunity can replace it. Discipline is the invisible engine that drives obsessively successful people to levels most others cannot even imagine. It is the quiet, consistent force that underpins focus, identity, momentum, environment, persistence, and mastery. Without it, the other principles remain abstract. With it, the impossible becomes inevitable. Discipline is the power that turns obsession into unstoppable success.